Catherine has written a provocative autobiography in which she reveals her darkest secrets, her flaws, and her flamboyant side. Her personal life so far is so filled with drama, Hollywood has come calling, I think, because of her revealing memoir called Beautiful Buttons. It is my pleasure to welcome Catherine to Studio 4 to tell us more. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Fanny. Thank you for the invite.
Well, you haven't lived a dinky life.
I know.
It's a bit of a fairy tale at the end, but not in the beginning. A skinny little scarecrow girl you were, from Toronto, living in the slums, alcoholic parents. What was that like?
Sexual abuse. Well, you know, Fanny, when you're growing up in that kind of an environment, you really don't know how you compare to other kids and other people in the neighborhood. So I kind of thought that everyone was like that. But I was, I think, a pretty smart kid, even though I had a few disabilities, like learning disability and ADD that I didn't learn about until later on in life. But I was very intuitive to my surroundings from a very young age, so I knew something was wrong, but I just didn't know what it was. So I tended to withdraw into myself, and kids didn't like me because I was poor and had a big nose and was tall and lanky as I grew up and didn't fit in anywhere. So I knew something was wrong, but I thought it was something wrong with me, which is why later on in life I went on this journey to try and fix my exterior.
Well, and you had a mother who didn't remember your birthday. That wasn't so good.
Yeah,
I mean, that sounds like a little thing.
Devastating.
But it's not a little thing.
Yeah.
Not only that, you had no money. Did you have food? Did you go hungry a lot?
Yep, lots. No food. I was expected to get up and go to school after my parents stayed up all night and fought and argued. And they would drink and smoke the rent money away. So we moved like 16 times from the time I was born until the time I moved out with my own son.
Who taught you about right and wrong?
Nobody, which is why I ended up in jail and then probation, and why I kept doing the wrong thing for years and years to come. I was always trying to even the score, and I didn't know right from wrong. I just thought it was the world against me.
So survival, in a sense, being a sex trade worker is certainly not a pleasant thing, couldn't be.
No.
How did you get into the sex trade?
When I was
lured, you needed money, what?
When I first got into the sex trade, it was something I didn't even know I was getting into because it was my uncle. I went to my uncle for a job when I had my baby. I was pregnant at 15, became a very young mother, and I was on welfare. My parents had been on and off welfare, and I knew that there was something better out there for me. So I went to him hoping he'd give me a job, and instead he pimped me out to his workers and his clients and, you know, handed me the money and said, you know, this is all you're good for. Remember this in your life. You're fat, you're unattractive, nobody's going to want you, so what you need to do is prostitute yourself. You make a good prostitute. For people like you in life, that's all there is.
A prostitute, an escort?
A prostitute with him, I guess, and then an escort later on in life.
Because it says in your bio and in your book, you became a madam for the mob.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means in Calgary a number of years ago, and I'm not sure what the rules are today, thank goodness.
Right.
Don't know what's going on today.
Right.
But you needed a woman to front an escort agency. So I had met someone who was involved with the mob. I had run away from Saskatoon. I kind of went from province to province, and I say I have to stay in BC because there's the ocean here and I can't go any further now, right?
Right.
But so I hooked up with the mob, and they had me open escort agencies for them, and that was another phase in my life that was quite horrible.
But you had other desires. You wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
You wanted to be a veterinarian.
Yeah, you did read the book.
I did.
Yes, you did. I love animals. Animals was the only thing that really showed me love growing up, and I had a lot of dogs, a lot of strays that I used to bring home and get fleas and ringworm from them and everything else, but I didn't care. It was the only thing that really showed me love and compassion, so I never forgot about the animals. But it was always, there were always peaks and valleys. There were little glimmers of hope, and I saw myself becoming something in life, and then there'd be a huge drop and another big valley where I'd have that in my head. You can't do anything, you can't be anything. You've got grade 8 education, you've got nothing. You've been to jail, you've been on probation, you know, you've got this kid, you're destined for nothing.
Where was your father in all of this?
Drunk in the kitchen. That's where he was.
Pretty much calling you his $1 million you were his $1 million baby or his...
Only when he was drunk. You see, there was that hour after he started drinking that he was nice and friendly to me. And, you know, kids of alcoholics can look at their parents and know what phase of the drink they're in. You can approach them or you can't approach them. And that hour that we had, he would call me his $1 million, and he would show me some kind of what I would think would be love and some expression of caring about me.
Was there anybody who truly cared about you when you were younger, when you were a teenager, when you were 20? Was there someone who offered you solace or hope? Anyone you can think of, a specific person, a teacher?
And the teachers were as rough as the kids were on me in school. And one of them called me a creature. So it wasn't, there was no real safe place that I could be or anyone that I could really depend on. I was close to my cousin Janice and my other cousin Diane, who was a bit older than me, but I spent some time with my cousin Janice, who I did love and get very close to. But that was taken away from me because she went to high school and I got pregnant.
Yes, so. and you've said very candidly in Beautiful Buttons that essentially your son raised you.
Yeah, he did. He did.
What's your relationship with him today?
Sadly, he doesn't talk to me. I have 2 grandchildren that I've never seen. Well, I saw Anthony for a few minutes when he was born. They came by, and then my son doesn't talk to me anymore. And you know, Fanny, I raised him to be like I was. I raised him to be somebody that took advantage of people in situations. So at the point I am in my life now at 54, I'm not doubting how he feels about me and the anger he has. I am just in a place where I'm able to move on, and hopefully he'll be able to move on someday.
Well, he's not after your money, obviously. So tell me when you broke out.
What money?
Well, I know you've been a successful entrepreneur and you have a successful business, and you got off welfare, and you did find a dream. How did that come about?
A little slip of paper in my last unemployment check. I had moved from Saskatchewan to Alberta to BC, and I was homeless for a while, got back into prostitution, had run away from the mob in Calgary, and I was still involved with prostitution here, and I met somebody who changed my life, who I've been with now for 15 years, my husband, Mark.
Third husband?
Second husband.
Second husband.
Not third yet. No.
Okay, no, but one husband was rich. You did get one rich husband.
I made him rich. I started him off in his own company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was unemployed, and I helped him start a successful business. And that's where my little glimpses of entrepreneurship came through. Because I thought, if I can do this for them, maybe I can do this for me. And Mark was the first person who believed in me. I was homeless at the time, and I convinced him to quit his minimum wage job, because everyone says, oh, a man must have came in your life and gave you all kinds of money, and that's why you started a successful company. No, Mark was, I say, flipping burgers and frying things up at a restaurant as a cook making minimum wage. And he said, you know, Catherine, you can do better. And I said, well, you can do better too. Let's go make millions and millions of dollars. And then he got fired, and then we were both homeless. So it
Perfect.
Exactly.
Living in a truck or something.
With 3 dogs. With 3 dogs. So
Excellent.
I went to pick up my last unemployment check, and in it was a little slip of paper offering people with a business idea to come forward. It was a pilot project for the government called Seeds. Of course, they'll get you off welfare, they'll get you off unemployment, you pay taxes, they put you through a bit of a business schooling, and it was the first thing that I ever completed in my life. And the first day that I got accepted into Seeds, I was homeless.
And then you built Consumer Connections.
One of the largest
which
mystery
does
shopping.
what?
Mystery shopping, customer service monitoring. So we have mystery shoppers, about 20,000 in our database in North America, that will go out to a business and rate the customer service levels, and then we will tell the business owners how to improve customer service and increase revenue and market share. So that's what I do.
Great idea. So essentially somebody goes in and pretends they're a customer. They're really not, and they're paying attention to service, all of that. Do some people just not believe your story and say, how could your life been lived like this? You
know, I wouldn't mind the disbelief. My publishing company and my literary agent made it very clear that we don't want another James Fry and Oprah. Okay,
I can imagine.
And as far as I'm concerned, I'm on Oprah now. Okay, but anyways,
of course. we have better ratings than Oprah, you know.
Yay! I wouldn't mind if it was just the lies I was accused of, but they knocked me down as a person. And I didn't come out, first of all, my story came out by accident, right? I mean, I wouldn't be out there publicizing my story with the past that I have, with the clients that I have. I was very scared that I was going to lose my clients. It came out by accident after I won an award, the YWCA Woman of Distinction Award in 2006. I stood up at the podium and said, well, this beats being homeless and eating out of garbage cans in front of 1,000 people. And that wasn't the thing to say, or maybe it was, because my life is now taking
I think
a turn.
truth is a thing to say, and I think you've impacted many lives because of
Yes.
it. And you've won 10 more entrepreneurial awards. And Maria Shriver called you from California, wanted you to come down and be part of a woman's forum, because essentially Beautiful Buttons, to me, yes, it's about survival and triumph, but it's also about a life lived and a life redeemed.
Definitely, and that's what it's about. It's about being able to change your life. It doesn't matter how old you are. I was 40 when I took the steps to make my life better. It doesn't matter, you know, how much you want to change your life. You can do it. There's possibilities.
Well, how did you get out of victim mode? You know, poor me, I'm just meant to be this way. I was a young girl, and I ballooned to 260 pounds, and I was fat, and I was ugly, or probably never ugly. Nobody wants me.
You know, I think that if you don't find inspiration and motivation in yourself, we all look to others for inspiration, but to really actually do something about it, it's up to us. And you know, Fanny, we all know what we need to do in our life to make it better. We know about the person we need to get rid of. We need to know about the person we need to have back in our life. We know what we want to do. It's up to us if we want to make those changes or not. And I decided for myself that I had to pick myself up. I just had to. And I guess I'm not that smart sometimes, and I always think there's something better, even when things are horribly wrong, and that's what kind of keeps me moving forward.
And you have to dump guilt and beating yourself up. And somehow embrace fate and know your destiny. Does that make sense? Like, here's your fate. You're born into poverty in Toronto in the slums.
I guess you have to defy it a little bit. And since I was always the black sheep, I was the black sheep with my own destiny.
But you conned your way into med school.
I did. I forged documents. Fanny, that's a movie on its own, okay? That's like a Catch Me If You Can, okay? But 100 times more interesting, with all due respect. Okay?
I know I shouldn't be laughing, but
well,
every time I turn
now.
a page, I say, how did you get into med school?
Fanny, I did 98 in my anatomy exam, and I didn't cheat. Okay.
You just
I cheated
cheated
in
to
some
get
other
in.
ones. I cheated. I cheated big time to get in, and I cheated in some exams that I couldn't catch up with.
Okay. Why did you call this Beautiful Buttons?
Because I had no clothes as a kid. They were all secondhand clothes, and I used to go into new stores with a little pair of scissors, and I would snip off all the beautiful buttons for the dresses that I said that I would one day own that I didn't have right then. And then I would take those buttons, and I would get scrap paper from the garbage and crayons and pencils, and I would draw the dresses and from my mind that the dresses were in the store, and then I would glue the buttons onto the paper, and I said, one day I'm going to have this dress, and this is where I'm going to wear this dress. And I have a big closet now, so dreams can come true. You just have to want it bad enough.
And I noticed you have some beautiful buttons on today.
Buttons or jewelry? I'm
Well,
just kidding.
lots of buttons, but I think those are real diamonds.
Are these not? Oh,
They look real to me.
But look at the buttons. Aren't they beautiful?
I can't see what's on the
Well, it's
button.
brass, and it's like a little
They are
emblem.
gorgeous.
And see, I still like buttons.
Absolutely.
But now I have the clothes that go with the buttons, you see.
And the diamonds.
And the diamonds.
A girl's best friend sometimes.
Oh, thank you, Fanny.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Pleasure. Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
invite.